That's Emma.
And this is Karl.
And this is Rittal unBoxed.
So we've got a big guest on today.
We have the big kahunas into the big fish. We managed to get him finally. We've got Shane Hope, our managing director for the UK. So he'll have a lot of interesting things to say.
Yeah, I think it's good actually. It's not a position I think people often get to either interact with or get to talk with.
Some insight from,
Yeah, and I think we talk about it a lot that Rittal in the UK specifically, I mean, actually as an organisation in general, we're very family driven, we're still family owned.
Yep.
And despite being such a large organisation, each subsidiary runs
its own unit, isn't it?
It's its own unit.
Yeah.
And in the UK, I think as well, we forget sometimes that an organisation is nothing more than a collective of people.
Absolutely.
We're all just individuals at the end of the day trying to do our very best.
Yep.
And I think it's really good to see. Shane's a prime example of how people have worked through this organisation. They've been at Rittal a long time, what they've brought to the company. And I think it's good to get a little bit of insight about that as well, really. We've got a lot of good people here, so I thought it'd be quite nice to ask Shane about his background and where he's come from and where we are today, really.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, let's get into it then.
Okay. Afternoon, Shane. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, got a big ticket item today. Big guest.
We have a big guest. So a few things that we wanted to touch on today. I think the first one really being is your background, because it's quite an interesting one. You've been with the organisation how many years?
20.
20 years.
20 this year.
Yeah,
Blimey,
nice.
Yeah.
Don't look old enough, do I?
No, absolutely not.
Some would say. So do you just want to take us through sort of how you started at Rittal, how that came about, and your progression through the organisation to where you are today?
Yeah, it's what it usually gets used in interviews, that one. When people say, how do I know there's a career there, you know?
Yeah.
I started as a ASM in London on the IT side of the business. Did pretty well, and then much to my surprise, somebody said, you're going to be a manager, you're going to have your own team. I didn't actually get any people, but I had to recruit the team, and I guess I must have done okay at that as well. So I ended up sort of heading up the IT team, and then became part of the director group, which was a big step at the time.
Of course.
And then, much to my surprise, after doing that for sort of 2.5 years, something like that, the then MD kind of made some sort of strange, had some strange questions in an appraisal, and I weren't really sure where it was going, but about a couple of months later, he recommended me to be the MD. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure how it's happened, but it's something I get asked a few times. All I can say really is I've kind of been in a pond, kind of become sort of like the biggest fish in that pond, and I've sort of been pulled out and stuck in the next
another one. Yeah, okay.
And just sort of gone from sort of step by step with that really, but yeah, I think I was thinking about it the other day. I think sometimes when I was in the director group, I think I always took an interest in everybody's department. It was genuine. It wasn't sort of like, just sort of contrived. I did actually take an interest, tried to contribute in all the meetings and everything else. And I think it's only sort of recently I thought to myself, that's probably why. It's too easy to kind of be in your own department, your own silo, and sort of concentrate on your own bit. But I was quite nosy, I guess. I was interested in everybody's sort of stuff. So yeah, maybe that's the reason why. But yeah, I'm not quite sure I could write a book on how to replicate it, because I'm not quite sure
no
I've done it
there.
myself.
It was just organic.
Yeah,
sort of thing,
and I wouldn't even say that I'm a particularly kind of driven individual that knew that they wanted to do this or that or the other.
Yeah.
When I was a salesman, I did want to be a sales manager. I always thought one day I want to be a sales manager. That's all I really wanted to do. But yeah, it's gone a bit further than that now.
When you change from one role to another, at times did you ever feel like this is a bit scary? That's a bit of a stretch. we talk about outside the comfort zone. That's something
Yeah.
obviously we talk about a lot in meetings. That's where the magic happens. Did you ever feel, actually, this is massively outside my comfort zone? I'm really not sure I can do it, but I'm going to have a try anyway. Is that what it felt like?
It's actually the very reason that I talk about that comfort zone thing. I remember being told when I was waiting to be announced as sales director of the IT team, I remember being told by somebody, in fact it was the previous sales director, they said what they'll do is they'll wait till CBIT. They'll tell you at CBIT whether you've got it or not. And I remember when we used to go to CBIT and we used to have a kind of an early start, a bit like the HMI trip when we have quite an early start. And I remember just not sleeping at all because I was convinced, because I'd been told that I'd find out either way. And I simply didn't sleep. And they didn't tell me anyway.
Yeah, that's cruel.
To wait
That's
another
cruel.
couple of months. But no, I completely. That's actually why I talk about that, because there's times, people talk about stress and those types of things, but there is a fear that you have to overcome in these types of things, and it's sometimes a lot easier to just not bother, pull the covers up over you and just think, no, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, in answer to your question, there's times when I've been absolutely petrified.
Well, there was that sign of fear and excitement and nerves. It proves you're alive. It's better to have that than to not experience it at all.
I think that's, as I say, where the comfort zone thing comes from, is if people are avoiding those difficult sort of situations, maybe that they don't push themselves as much or improve themselves as much as they actually can.
I think as well, we Rittal as a company, being privately owned, I still think is quite a nice thing to have, obviously with Mr. Lowe.
Yeah.
But again, I think the UK, despite being a subsidiary, I think again it feels quite family orientated. The way that I said, the culture, the way that we're set up as an organisation, I think it's got that flexibility as well. And I think everybody wants to do the right thing, and I think that's what massively at times sets us apart from other people. That it is a collective of really good people, all just trying to do the best every day. Everybody wants to come to work and make a difference. They all want to contribute, and I think that for me, it's you don't get that a lot of organisations these days. They can be quite corporate. I just don't think that we have that here, if I'm honest.
I used to say that that we were scalable in that way, because if you wanted to, if a customer, you needed to show how strong you were, you'd take them to the factory, show them the capability, take them to Germany, show them the capabilities. But then sometimes you'd get noises from customers that, you're a bit too big, you won't care about us type thought process. And so you say, well, scale it down. If you want us to be the subsidiary that we are, rather than the rest of the business around it, then that's a smaller business. If you want to take it, into the IT team, as it was then, for me, then you've got that smaller chunk. And then we had regional teams in there, and you could take it, or just take it down to you dealing with me, who's looking after my region. So you can scale it up or down as you wish. I do think that's easier because we are privately owned, and we're largely allowed to run the business as we want to run it as well. I think that's so we're allowed to. We have our own family. So I think you're quite right with that.
I think it's one of them things quite often when we go to places like HMI, when we go to the big exhibitions, you sometimes forget actually the wider organisation that's behind us, and it feels great to have that in terms of we know that this, large organisation's there to support us, but like I say, on a smaller scalable level, we've still got that flexibility and versatility, I think, which is really good. If you missed anything out of your previous roles, what would it be?
That's a good question. I don't see the customers as much as I'd like. When I have the situations where I get involved with customers or go and see customers now, I do really enjoy it. It's like a trip down memory lane. It's almost like a wow, I forgot how much I enjoyed this. So I do miss that. And also, I think, when I was a sales manager going out with sales guys, having that sort of interaction with them, bringing people on in that sort of environment. I used to really enjoy that. So, but I think probably the biggest thing would be customers, just actually seeing the customers, and it not being once a week or once a month. It's 3 or 4 times a day. So yeah.
How do you feel about all the changes that you've seen in the last 7-8 years? All the changes that were made from a customer service perspective. We have massively changed our model in that side of the business. It's been fabulous to see that change, that grow. The way that we go to market. What else do you see as on the horizon?
I think the first part of it, I think in terms of the change, I think we strived we had some cultural issues, even despite all the good things that we've said about how the culture is now. We had some people that or departments that felt a little bit alienated, and I think that the whole of that customer program, the customer centricity program, it gave us a central purpose with everybody. Everybody relates to the customer. Everybody deals with the customer at some point. And therefore, everyone in the business is equal in terms of the fact that they offer that to the customer. So that gave that cultural thing a central purpose. So that actually pushed both along at once. In terms of the future, I think I've touched on it already, really, is we've got quite a lot of young people. Some of them who are young don't actually necessarily think they're young. You're an example. You probably wouldn't put yourself in that category, but you are young in terms of your careers, really. So there's a lot of young people in good positions in the business, and I don't think they've all by any means matured into what they can do. So as that starts to happen over time, it's going to be quite exciting to see what happens then. But yeah, apart from that, I guess we are a manufacturer. There's a couple of exciting products coming through.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think the Rittal X, everybody's getting very excited about that, and a rather exciting cooling unit coming our way.
There is, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, that's quite interesting as well. So but yeah, I think it's got a bright future.
One of the big things that's just come to mind when you said products as well is obviously we've just done the big launch and opening of the application centre as well in the UK. So that's a big one, isn't it?
Another
step
thing,
forward.
Yeah. We made a good investment with that, and it seems to be worthwhile already. But again, it's the things that we don't currently do or haven't currently done that we're going to be able to start doing that they're quite interesting. Especially you start to add skills into there. What could we offer out of there? How much could we help customers out of there? I think it's again, it's a real string to our bow, and something that how far can we take it? How good can it get? It's definitely positive for sure.
I don't think until you start dissecting things, really, you look how far we've come really in the last 7-8 years. As I mentioned, like I said, we've become such a customer-centric organisation, part of the Institute of Customer Services, the Investors in People Awards, and then, like I said, then coupled with the application centre, you think, with the rate these things are going at and all the opportunities they bring, the future, I know that it's saying the future is bright, but when you're working forward like that and being forward thinking and innovative, there's so much opportunity out there at the minute.
What we've got to start doing, and we're trying to pave the way with it, is we've got to start doing things that we haven't done before. I've said in the past that the criteria that we are given as a subsidiary, we've been achieving that now for a while. There was a time when I first took this role where I wasn't sure that we would be able to achieve some of the metrics that they want from us. And now we do it. I won't say we do it easily, but we do it, and we do it regularly. And I think we've almost attained the benchmark that when I started this role that we needed to get to. And the next benchmark is, well, it almost isn't benchmarked. Where can you go? Where can you take it from there? Different markets, new customers from different areas, with different products. We've got a huge range, and I don't know what the statistics are in terms of what proportion of that range that we sell, but there's a lot of products that we don't sell as much of as we should do, so it's really how good we can be at sort of expanding our minds and expanding our approach, and where can we take it? I think that's the big thing, really.
Yeah, it keeps it interesting as well, doesn't it? Because it's constantly always, like we say, it's never standing still, is it? There's always a new activity, or that's a lot of our job, isn't it? Trying to wring out more opportunity in different ways, different customers, different markets, etc. So
and like I said, there's new markets. I won't say popping up all the time, but there's certainly new markets coming along that, like I said, that we're not the market leader in. There's lots of opportunity, potentially we've just not necessarily considered before. But like I said, once we then start changing our model and what else we can offer, we suddenly become, actually, this market is viable to us now, where it potentially wasn't in the past. So like I said, that ever-changing, ever-evolving, for us, we need to move with it as well. So there are some good opportunities coming forward.
Absolutely, yeah, as we move into 2025.
Do you want to get the question pot?
Yeah, oh God, absolutely. It's a new pot, that. Do you want to grab one then? Just to put you on the spot.
What's the goal that you're currently pursuing?
Oh,
that's a good one, Jack.
The goal you're currently pursuing, personal or professional?
Personal. We bought a house a couple of years ago, and I'm currently pursuing trying to keep up with all the things that need doing. It is a project.
Never ending.
Never ending, yeah. But it's definitely something I'm pursuing. Yeah, I'd like somewhere in my house to put my records. That would be nice. From a business point of view, I think that I would really like to see the application centre come to life, and the whole value chain piece. That we work well with ePlan. We've always got on very well with ePlan, but we've never really maximised that relationship, and I think the application centre now gives us the opportunity to really leverage that relationship with ePlan and the value chain, which our competitors cannot really match. So yeah, I think that's something that I'd like to pursue and sort of see through.
Good goal.
Yeah, sounds like a good one. Great.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Get your insight. Thank you.
You did do all right.
You did.
Yeah.
You passed the test. You're all right.